Now, if you've seen any of my other videos, this will probably be a familiar sight, but I wanted to show you in contrast what I've got going on. As you've seen before, the little garden spot that I had outside the greenhouse here, and you can see how it's struggling. And I'm literally probably putting in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 gallons of water on those few plants a day that's out there struggling. And when I say that, it sounds more ridiculous than what I realized, and I probably need to quit doing that. On the other hand, here I've had to bump up what I'm putting in to these. I'm adding probably 3 to 4 gallons a day, but as you can see, there's a lot of growth going on, a lot more healthy growth with a lot less water. Now I'm using a little bit of electricity. It's not bad, but here's where we're getting to the truth, in my opinion, about the aquaponics. I am by far not an expert on this. There's a lot of people out there that know a lot more than I do about it, but if anyone wants to claim that this is the perfect setup, I'm going to disagree, and I'm going to disagree for a lot of reasons. It certainly has its place. As you can see, when you're in a hot, dry period or in a hot, dry area, it may very well be one of the best alternatives. However, as you can see from some of my other videos, and I'll slide over here, the tomato plants that I have in here, they're struggling as well. Now the cucumbers are doing really well, and the tomatoes are struggling. I've got some squash on the other side that's not doing real well either, and that's telling me a couple of things. It's telling me that what is going to work for one in these systems is not going to work for the other. You're playing with a kind of a happy medium in the system, in that the system is not going to cover all of the bases for every plant, everything that it needs. And what I'm saying is, obviously whatever the cucumbers are wanting, they're getting, and the tomatoes are not. The other day I was doing some research and looking into some hydroponic solution, looking at that end of it as well. It's something I'm thinking about experimenting with. And while reading some of the different recipes, I noticed right off that the cucumber recipe or formula or mixture ratios for a particular brand of hydroponic solution is completely different than the tomato. And that really clued me in that these plants are all wanting different amounts of nutrients. So in a soil type garden or containers, you can vary those and kind of tailor to what they want. And in this type of system, I don't see how you could. And so it's going to be a happy medium, so to speak. I guess that's really kind of the way nature works to begin with. But my point is, the hype that's being spread about this stuff of you put this in and it'll feed, you know, your entire block or whatever forever is really not true. I think you can probably grow a substantial amount of food with a lot of ease. There's not a lot of effort here in what I'm doing. I have no weeding to do. And the other benefits, one, I don't have to bend over, but it was a lot of work putting this thing together. One of the other things that I hear people talk about is how cheap they're doing it, and they're posting videos on how cheap you can do it. I'm not looking for people to be hating on me for telling this. I'm strictly trying to tell the truth, and before you rush out and think you're going to put one of these systems together for nothing, it's not going to happen. I will tell you this: if you have a way to get someone or people to give you all of this material, it may not cost a lot of money, but it's going to cost you a lot of time. It's not easy to put all of this stuff together because there's so many different videos out there and so much information. You're going to have to experiment. You're going to have to experiment with different types of media. you're going to have to experiment with different types of systems, whether it be flood and drain, whether it be deep water culture or what have you. And it's not just something that's really cut and dry.